Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Angela, and if you're new, welcome. If you're returning, thank you, and don't forget to subscribe. I have a very, very special guest with me here today. Her name is Dr. Crystal T. Harrell. And she is a best-selling author, a number one best-selling author, I will add, a motivational speaker, and certified mindfulness-based stress reduction instructor. And her journey began in public housing, which is interesting, in Alabama. And it led her to earning a PhD in public health at Yale University. And her true awakening came in 2018. During one of the darkest seasons of her life, she realized then that she had been living through the lens of a traumatized child, and her choices reflected that path. From that moment, she set the intention to undertake the inner work necessary to reconnect her wholeness. And her story is one of resilience, just what we are all about on this podcast, healing and the power of combining academic achievement with deep personal and spiritual growth. So today she bridges evidence-based research and spirituality to help others unlock their potential and rise above their circumstances. And she shared this message on a TEDx stage and in her best-selling book, Crystal Clear, and through initiatives such as the Student Wellbeing Project and Seven Sisters and Company. So, wow, you've done amazing things, and it is going to be so fun to unpack all of this with you. And I just love your energy. So I can't wait to introduce everybody. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me, Angela. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's so great. So tell us a little bit more. I mean, you talk about how you use science and spirituality and you join the two, which I absolutely love. And I think the more of that we can get out into the world, the better. So just explain more about, how you got here and what you do.
Oh, this is I guess there's so many things, like as life happens, you're kind of unfolding and unpacking things as they come up. And so it definitely wasn't my intention to set out doing spirituality and science-based research. As a little girl, I actually wanted to be an artist. Norman Rockwell was my favorite painter, and I used to spend hours looking at his drawings. My dad would take us to the public library because, he wanted to get us out of the house, but we had to do free stuff around the around
Yeah.
the town. So the public library was like our go-to spot. And I would just rush to the back and find the art section, and I would pull out this huge book, and it was full of Norman Rockwell's painting. And I would just like look over all the pages, and I love how much life he created in his work. And I thought it was so cool that you could create something that looked real with just color. So that was like my first dream. Until someone told me I wasn't going to make a lot of money as an artist, which I'm challenging that now in my adult life.
Good for
Um,
you.
but it's interesting because I got on this path because I was truly trying to figure out, how do I heal? You mentioned the event in 2018, where I kind of had this spiritual awakening, because I was in the darkest moment of my life and I was truly searching for answers. At 11, I had watched my father lose his battle with leukemia, and it was horrific. It was terrible to watch as a child. And it was even more traumatic when, one day I'm waking up and a once present father, was no longer there, and no one is explaining what happened. Um, so it took a long time for me to actually feel safe in my body, or to actually feel like I could explore the possibility of even getting to a state where I wasn't dysregulated, where my nervous system felt calm. And so that was 2018, and it's been 7 years, and I'm still on this journey of holistic health and holistic healing, because I truly believe that, from the stories I've heard of others, that you can become whole again. You can get back to the truest essence of who you are. And we have so much information to help us on a path of self-discovery. It's just our willingness to walk down that path. And so hopefully that is the answer to your question. But
Absolutely. Yeah. And You know, it's so wonderful, as we were talking about before, sharing your story, because there will be
Mhm.
somebody out there who is going to resonate with this, and
Yes.
they're going to find nuggets of wisdom in what you share. And so
Yeah.
thank you for, going down this path and taking this journey and sharing it with others. I really think that it's important. So, you've gone through some amazing things in your life
Mhm.
despite what happened with your father, and that must have
Yeah.
been so hard for you.
Yeah.
And, we're in this society where we want to achieve. We're told
Mhm.
that we need to, get a good job and, go to school, get a good job,
Yes.
find a partner, da 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 da, all of that stuff.
All
And
these
it looks
things.
like you were on that path.
I was. Because I believed it. I believed that those achievements were going to make me happy. And when I achieved the quote unquote American dream at 29, when I finished my doctorate in public health, I was miserable. And I was like, this is not the promise that I was sold. This was not what I thought it would be. And then now I don't have anything to bank my happiness on. So I had to redefine what success meant for me, not just in achievement, but also in a level of presence with my own life. And that's the part that I missed because I was going so fast trying to achieve. I couldn't see that everything I was chasing, I was already that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think so many of us can relate to that
Mm,
because we've gone through life, searching. And I love your story about how
oh,
you love the art and that you
yeah.
started out as a child with that. And now you're starting to think, okay, you know what? Maybe what people told me wasn't true.
Yeah, because I've tested it. I'm not afraid of I'm like a natural, I guess I overanalyze everything. I love analyzing. I love science. I love the scientific method. So I'm always questioning things. It doesn't always like work out well for people. They always like get annoyed when I ask questions, but I have to know.
Yeah, absolutely. And so tell me more about your research and what you've
Yeah.
discovered.
Wow. I mean, the diversity of research that I've had the opportunity to conduct while in school has just been immense. Like I've done research and discrimination against persons with disabilities in the workplace. That was my first exposure to research. Actually, I was an undergraduate at Auburn University, and I just fell in love like with the research process. I thought, how is it that you can have this question and then you could probe information and see what type of answers you get, and you may not always get the answer you expected, but to me, that was the exciting part. And I've also done research with looking at how religion impacts physical health. I've done research in cancer research, and it's just been so interesting to see across all these areas of research. I think the common thread was just um, the curiosity. Like there was always a level of curiosity. And so my current research looks at the impact of stress on health among young adults. And that has been the most interesting because it has directly impacted my life. Like as a college student dealing with anxiety, panic attacks, stress, like burnout. Like there's so many things I experienced as a college student while still trying to achieve my goals that I thought there has to be some research out here to help us. And that's when I started exploring a concept that I worked on during my dissertation called spiritual consciousness, which is this awareness of this invisible nature of life. Some call it, in physics, it's called the unified field. Some in other places it's called consciousness, pure consciousness, universal consciousness. But for me, it's just the awareness, not trying to name that invisible force, but just being aware of its presence. That's been the research and seeing how that awareness impacts people's health, whether that's mental or physical. So it's been interesting. I still have so much to know to learn. So that's where I
Yeah.
am now.
Yeah. Yeah. And that curiosity, creates such excitement. I can feel that
Yeah,
as you talk about it.
yeah.
It's giving me goosebumps actually, because it's like you've got um this insatiable wanting to know, the
Yeah.
answers. And I think we all do, but sometimes, like you say, you had the anxiety and all that
Mm,
working through. schooling. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of us just think, well, that's normal.
Yeah.
It's normal
It's
to have.
not.
And it's like, but we don't have to, right? Let's go through
Mm-mm.
down that road and see if we can find ways to go through this without
Mm.
all of that, which is amazing. So, what did you
I
find out?
love that.
What's helpful?
I love that you just said that, Angela, because I also believe that we don't have to deal with anxiety and burnout, and that there are ways to accomplish our goals from a place of alignment. And that's what I've been discovering because I would say out of the 11 years I spent as a full-time college student pursuing my doctorate, 3 of those years were truly amazing. And that's because the last 3 years of school, again, I was going through this spiritual awakening. I had studied abroad in Bali, Indonesia, and I was exposed to a different way of being and how their culture is so connected to this, again, spiritual consciousness, this unified field. And I was applying it to my life as I was studying it. And I completely stopped having panic attacks. I no longer have like anxiety attacks or anything like this. Like, obviously, you feel anxious, you feel, like this is a lot. You get moments of overwhelm, but it's not a part of my identity. Whereas before I had this experience of studying abroad and really studying spiritual consciousness, I believe that I was just supposed to be anxious or stressed
Yeah.
out, but I was not performing at the level that I could have. So my last 3 years in school were the best. I was not working 18 hours a day, pulling all-nighters. I was still working hard, but now it was from that level of excitement. It was from a level of like, wow, like I'm really doing this. Like I get to do this. Like not I have to, but I get to be a student. I get to learn about this. So I was doing the same thing, but I had a totally different frame of mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And isn't that just a recipe for life?
Yeah.
Waking up in the morning and going, I get to do this. I am
Yeah.
so lucky to get to do this. And, it's not work then. I mean, you're
Yeah.
working hard, but it's
Yeah.
not feeling like something you have to do. It's something you
Yeah.
want to do, which is
Hmm.
different. Yeah.
It is so different.
And you went to Bali.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gone there too. So I know the magic of that place.
Yes. Oh,
And
wow. I love
I
this.
understand your transformation a bit better.
I love this. What part of Bali were you in?
um, we were staying just outside of a Abood.
That was my home.
Was it? Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Yeah, it was just it's just like in the pictures, it's
Hmm.
so beautiful there.
So
And their way of life,
it's
it's just
totally different.
amazing to
Hmm.
watch. And we had access to a lot of shamans and that sort of thing.
Yes.
So yeah, so cool.
Wow, I love this so much. I'm getting even more excited now. I love speaking with people about Bali because it's one of those places I'm sure you know, like it's hard to really even describe how amazing it is, how magical, how spiritual it is. Unless you've been there, it's hard to really say how it is because it's a feeling.
Yeah, and certainly, you've gone through some transformation through that. Can you
Mm.
explain more about what you took away from Bali?
Mm. So I always reference this because it was actually one of the most pivotal moments of my time in Bali. So naturally, like I said, I ask a lot of questions. And I started going on tours when I was in Bali, like different tours to the temples and different spiritual places around the island. And I had a private tour once because I don't know, I guess I was the only one that booked. And so I had like this whole tour to myself, and I had a Balinese guide to answer any questions that I had as he drove me around to these different temples and different places. And one of the questions I asked him is like, as being a part of this culture and being raised in this culture, what are some of the things that you're taught as you're growing up? And he said there's three main things. So the first thing is you're taught about your relationship to God. And that's the relationship to God in everything, God in nature, God in the other person. And he said the second thing is you're taught about your relationship to people, right? So relationship to God, relationship to people. And then the last thing he said, you're taught about your relationship to nature. And it was those three relationships that really were the foundation of their entire culture. And I thought, that is why they have so much respect for other people, for nature, for the God. Like they just, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but when he said that, when he taught me that, I was able to see why their culture reflects that awareness. And that's why, again, I believe that is truly this spiritual awareness that you have of the divine in everyone, whether you call that God, Allah, source, universe, like it's just this invisible nature, force of life that you're aware of. And so you see that harming another is harming yourself and vice versa. So it's really cool to see, to
Yeah.
learn about. But that was my
Yeah.
biggest takeaway.
Wow. And that is so true,
Yeah.
and also just think about a world who
Mm,
was raised that way.
yeah. Oh man.
And I don't think, sometimes there's a lot of prediction about gloom and doom on the earth,
Mm,
but I think there's a lot of hope because there are
me
more and
too.
more people that I interview now that feel this connection
Yeah.
to nature, to each other,
Yeah.
and want to, once you've experienced that, there's no going back.
No, you can't unsee it.
No, exactly. And it's a beautiful thing. And then
Mm,
it's just, how do we share that with others? And
yeah.
because, like you say, when you help others, you're helping yourself. And
Yeah.
it's absolutely beautiful thing. So you come
Yeah.
back from Bali,
Yeah.
and then what do you do with all of that?
I reluctantly came back from Bali. I did not want to leave.
Mm,
I thought when I got there, it took me a couple of weeks to adjust, obviously, because it was such a basically everything I learned being raised in the US for 26 years, like I had to unlearn or relearn a different way of life. And that was hard. That was really hard to acclimate to a different culture. I think it wouldn't matter where I went. It was going to be that process of really acclimating to a new environment. So it took me a while, but once I got there, it was just like for 6 months straight, I was like living on a high. Like I was like, this is the best thing that has ever happened to me. And I just decided and I wasn't gonna leave. I was meeting people who were like, yeah, I came here for 2 weeks. I've been here for 10 years or some like I kept hearing the same story. And I was like, well, that's gonna be my story because I'm not leaving.
yeah.
And I ended up meeting someone, my current partner, and he basically was speaking to me about my decision. And he was just like, you've already started this life in America, like you're still in school. What about your research? Like I think you would regret if you didn't go back and finish. And maybe he was right. So I am glad that I came back to finish my degree and to discover what it is that I truly wanted out of life as far as a career. Because I definitely got that information now that I'm back. But yeah, so when I was coming back, I had a friend ask me, how are you going to take Bali with you? And I think it's just through that awareness. So I'm back in America and I'm trying my hardest to embody that same essence that I did in Bali, but it was I feel like I had to try 10 times harder to
Mm,
to get to that level of being centered in my body and feel like I'm supported by my environment. Not to sound negative about America or anything like
yeah.
that, but it was a different experience. I'll
Yes.
just say it like this. So I'm still working through that. Honestly, every day I want to go back to Bali and I want to be in that energy, but I can't allow an environment to dictate my level of peace or joy. Like I have to be able to embody that no matter where I am. And so that's what I'm working through.
Yeah. And you're doing a beautiful job.
Oh,
I'll tell you that.
don't make me cry, Angela.
Well,
It's
I
hard.
say that with all honesty because I can
Thank
feel
you.
your energy and it's
Thank
just infectious. So clearly you're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you. I still like it's like climbing up a mountain. Like I'm just like, am I doing this right? I should just go back. So it's, even still you have so many doubts, but I'm like you said, I'm focusing on the vision. And I believe like you, like we can truly embody this 5D world. Like we can embody a world where people do see themselves in another and people do have this level of integrity, but it's gonna take a collective effort. We gotta do it together. We
Yes.
have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so you're continuing your research now, and
Yes.
explain to me a little bit more about what you're excited about learning right now.
So the way the research has evolved since graduation is we're using technology to um, basically develop solutions to help students dealing with stress and burnout and helping them achieve their goals from a place of well-being. And that's evolved into an app that's currently being promoted by the Scholars Equity Network, which used to be the Bill Gates Millennium Foundation. It's a foundation I became a part of in 2013 when I got the Gates Scholarship to go to school. And so that has evolved, and now they have these programs to help students use their research and interests to, develop projects that are going to support the community. And so that's something that I'm working on now is it's called the IQ app. And it's basically what I've been doing for the past 10 years as an academic success coach, like supporting students through that process. But students will be able to have their own kind of companion. And so each application will be tailored to that specific student's needs. And then it will provide information as far as like, scholarships that they're eligible for, like different tools and tips that I feel like I wish I had at that time.
Mm.
And what I'm seeing across all the students, the couple of hundred students I've worked with, have similar issues, I guess, or similar problem areas. So I'm just tailoring all of that into one unified application that will be able to support student success and well-being.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
fantastic. Absolutely
Thank you.
fantastic. And coming from, a principal and educator, I'm just all about, like, I'm
Oh
right behind
wow.
you. You just keep going, girl.
Oh wow. So I'm pretty sure you're aware of the student needs as well.
Oh, yes. And,
Yeah.
I think that nowadays it might be even more than, 4 years ago when I retired.
Mm, wow.
Education was rough, but
Mm,
I don't think it's anything like it is now. And
wow.
so, yeah, they need support. They
Yes, they
definitely do.
do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, look at what stage of life they're in, especially like emerging adulthood is challenging from like 18 to
Mm.
25, 26. Your brain is still developing, you're still learning, your identity is changing from being a daughter or son or, and going into the world as a quote unquote adult. You don't know a lot.
Yeah.
So they know a lot intuitively, I feel, but they need the most support for navigating that time in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how you flip from talking the scientist to the
Yeah.
spiritual guide, and you do it so easily and
Oh,
with so much flow. Like, it's so amazing. And that's what
oh, Angela.
I love that. So I
Oh,
know you're going to do amazing things.
thank
Tell
you.
people how they can, like, is it possible to follow you maybe on social
Yeah,
media?
yeah, of course. I appreciate you so much for providing the space and also just the way you speak. It's so reaffirming. Like I can tell you are a teacher and educator because you just feel like when someone is really invested in the growth of the other person. So I appreciate you for saying that and for allowing me to share the space with you.
For sure.
Um, and for students to, connect with me, I do have an Instagram and LinkedIn because LinkedIn is kind of like, the professional side. Instagram,
Yes.
it's still professional, but I do more storytelling on Instagram through my stories. I haven't been as active as I should be, but if you follow me, I promise in the next couple of months I will be consistently posting.
Awesome.
I'm still going through a tower moment. I'm readjusting a few things. But you can find me on Instagram. The My Instagram handle is Crystal T Harrell PhD. And you can go on my website at crystaltharrell.com and you'll have all my links to all my socials. And you can also join my email list. And so if you join my email list, you'll see my email. Shoot me an email if you have any questions. I check my email all the time. So I'm here.
Wonderful. Thank you again so much. Is there anything we haven't shared that you'd like to share before we go?
Um, I feel like we touched on some really phenomenal topics for sure. The last thing I would say is just encourage students or your listeners to take the time to get to know who they are at an intimate level, like you would a lover, because the relationship you have for yourself and with yourself echoes throughout every relationship you have in this world. So that is the starting ground. It's you, and then it's you and the other.
Beautiful. I love that. Yes, and that's so
Yeah.
true. The relationship with yourself. It's a huge reflection.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again for your
Thank
time and for your wisdom. And I want to thank everyone for watching, and bye for now.